welcome Earth Angels to this Scorpio season flow. So we're going to be exploring the intense and mysterious energy of Scorpio season, focusing attention around the hips and the element of water. So all you need for this practice is your mat, a block if you want one, and I'll meet you here in just a second. So we're going to start lying down to the earth, maybe with your feet connected to the floor, letting the knees drop in, shuffling the shoulders slightly underneath you and letting the heart lift to the sky. And as you land here, just calling in that soft wave of your breath, maybe drawing a nice deep inhaling through the nose and releasing the breath with a soft sigh. Welcome to continue your breath in that same way, maybe a few times, letting the body soften with every exhale. And then when and if you feel ready, you might start to draw the breath in through the nose and let it follow back out through the nose. Our yogic breath is going to lead our practice today. So giving a little bit of space to establish the breath before we start to find movement. So just moving, perhaps most importantly today, in a way that feels really aligned for your body and your energy. So Scorpio season is, let's say, a lot about intensity and mystery, but also linked to the element of water is our intuition. So that deep inner knowing. So as you practice today, maybe you can start to notice those little drops in and downloads of connected energy, those messages from the divine, or even just subtle calls of your body saying what feels good and what doesn't. And leading from that space of autonomy for your own body, your own practice. So with that being said, let's start to slowly draw the knees apart and call them in towards the chest. So maybe you take hold of each shin here or each knee, starting to find these soft waves across the back body. And feeling into the space of your lower spine. So maybe you want to start to make some circles here. Maybe it just feels nice to rock a little bit side to side, or maybe for you today, just holding still. So if we think of all the water signs, so we of course have Scorpio, Cancer and Pisces, it's kind of said that each one is linked to a different body of water. And I always think of Scorpio as this really vast lake ahead of us, where it's still and smooth and only the gentle ripples of the rain or the external world can break the surface. So let's break the own surface of our practice, start to extend the feet up to the sky, feeling this melting sensation through the back body holding you in space as you start to explore, almost like you're seaweed on the bottom of that seabed, just exploring the water, the air, the energy around you, using your fingers, your toes, maybe even letting the movements travel down to the wrists, the ankles. And take a lovely big sip of air as you stretch upwards and then sink the knees downwards towards the armpits, find happy baby. Maybe leading into a soft little sway here. Again, gently releasing any tension through the lower spine. And let's start to move our practice onwards. We're going to cross the ankles, maybe start to rock back and forth along the length of the spine. If you prefer, you can of course roll over to one side. And we're going to roll straight over the legs, come to find tabletop. So of course you might want to spend a little bit of time here just warming up through the wrists, maybe bringing some energy back and forth, side to side, maybe even creating these little figure eights. Say, leading with intuition. Where does your body want to go? Where do you want to move today? There's no wrong answer, but there's also no right answer. So, what feels best? Really nice. And as we land back to center, we're going to extend our right leg back behind us. Tuck the toes here. Feel a little bit of pressure through the back heel, so you're in charge of how much pressure is there. And then pulling out of that stretch, we're going to bring the right foot across to the left side. Once again, tuck the toes, press back towards the heel. If you want to make this a little bit less rigid and move into, say, that more fluid space, you could soften the toes and let your foot kind of slide back into that stretch and then come back forward. So bring the knee back to land. Let's stretch the left leg back, tuck the toes, little pull back through the heel. And then drawing the foot over to the right hand side, maybe again pressing into the heel or onto the toes if you have kind of a stippy surface that you can use. And then bringing ourselves back to center. Take a moment to pull back towards hips to heels. Have a little wiggle of the wrists. And then we're going to come back forward into our first downward facing dog. So let's tuck the toes, elevate the hips here, maybe walking the feet in. Again, any movements that feel good for your body, a little bit of movement back and forth, pedaling out the legs. And then we're going to inhale, elevate through the right leg. Call the knee forward, step the foot to the top of your mat and lower your back knee. Follow your breath as you inhale to rise to your low crescent lunge. And as you exhale, let's rain the arms down as we maybe sink into that front hip, shuffle the toes forward as needed, and then let the arms rain down. We're going to pick up the breath 2 more times. Inhaling as you rise, exhale as you lower. Beautiful. 1 more time. Inhale to collect that energy. Exhale to soften. Beautiful. So we're going to bring our left hand down to the floor. Extend your right arm out ahead of you. And we're going to roll onto the outside edge of the front foot to create a little bit more space in the hip for us to move. So from here, we're going to inhale, reach up and over, sinking the bottom hip and gazing back behind you. When you're ready, call the breath back up and over and land your foot to the floor, maybe even pulling back to half split if that feels accessible for you today. Let's do that 3 more times. No, let's do that 2 more times. We're going to inhale, open up. Exhale, bring the breath back. Once more, these don't have to be perfect shapes. Inhale to open. Exhale, come back. Scorpio is not a perfectionist. Scorpio is about flow, creativity, kind of being a little bit messy. So lean into that energy if it feels right for you. We're going to take this to the other side. So if you like, you can take a connecting vinyasa, maybe onto the knees or your high plank. Draw the energy forward, lower it down. Inhaling as you rise, exhale, let's pull back. Maybe a moment through child's pose, and then let's find our downward facing dog. Ready to go to the other side, starting with an inhale, we lift left leg. Bring the knee forward, step the foot between the hands, lower your back knee. Inhaling as you rise. Shuffle the toes as you need to create space for the body to soften down. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale, collect the breath. Exhale as it rains down. Once more. Inhale to rise. Exhale to lower. Beautiful. We're going to take that funny little flow again on the other side. So landing your right hand. Left arm stretches forward, rolling onto the outside edge of your left foot. Inhale, come up and over, sink the hip. Exhale, snap everything back to center, maybe a pull back through half split. Twice more, rising to come up and over. Bring it back, find that inner intensity. Let yourself feel whatever you're feeling. Let yourself look however you look. Let yourself be however you want to be today. That was the last one. Any little movements you want to take them here. Step it back if you wish to. Your choice for high plank or come down from the knees, tummy, chest, chin. Beautiful. Inhale as you lift through the chest. Exhale, your choice. Sitting back, child's pose or downward facing dog, whichever you prefer. So from here, we're going to explore a moment through some planks. So let's begin maybe just to have a little circle of the wrists. So if you're in your downward facing dog, maybe come down for a second. If you're in your child's pose, if you've had enough there, bring yourself back to the heels and just give the wrists a little shake. So again, this can be quite intense. Scorpio energy is intense energy. You may have heard people who are Scorpios have a little bit of a bad rep. I myself don't agree with that because I'm a Scorpio rising, but I can see where they come from. So Scorpios are mysterious. They don't give everything away at first. So maybe that's what we've done with this practice a little bit today. So we're going to come forward into our downward facing dog to start with, little pedal. Sinking it down into your high plank. Pick up your left knee towards the chest, sweep the leg underneath you, fallen star pose. We roll onto the outside edge of the back foot, open up through the arms. Bring it back to center. Bring the knee in, step it back. We're going other side. Draw your right knee in, underneath, lifting up. Follow that top arm with the gaze. Bring it back. Coming back to center. From here, we're in our high plank. We're going to start to bend our knees, both together to the right side. Pull back here. Maybe lift your right arm, flow it up and over. Other side, bending into the left knees. Pull back. Arm flows. Once either side, draw it back. Flow forward. Last time, left knee, or rather left side. Bring the arms up and over. Beautiful. Soften your knees. Walking back to child's pose, maybe flexing the wrists a little bit here, sway the hips. Take a moment to soften that energy. Beautiful. So stay there as long as you need. We are going to start to wind things down now, but all of this is kind of building up that energy and let's let it sink down into the hips. So the hips are ruled by the element of water, and the sign of Scorpio rules kind of the sacral chakra area that includes the hips, the reproductive organs. So we're going to bring a little bit of energy to that now, focusing more on that still kind of subtle lake of Scorpio. So if you're in your child's pose, let's all come up to downward facing dog. So we're going to begin with an inhale, lifting right leg to the sky. Bring the knee forward, finding pigeon pose. So you want to bring your right knee up towards your right wrist, let the foot draw forward, maybe check back behind you that that leg is straight into center, and maybe bringing your hands to the side, find a little bit of lift through the crown of the head, but equally that sinking down through the base of your spine, your root chakra. And then leading from the chest, let's start to walk the hands forward. So maybe you want to create a little pillow for the head. It's accessible, you can extend the arms forward, but as long as you're being true to your body, your practice today, that's the most important thing. So see what's there today. You could try this another time, and it could look completely different. So most importantly, give yourself space. Give yourself space to feel. Focusing your breath energy down towards the right hip. And we're going to start to transition into our next pose. So, bringing yourself up onto the hands, we're going to let the right leg slide all the way underneath us and then gently draw it out to the side as the hips sink down. So we're coming into our half frog. So once you're there, we're going to stay connected onto the forearms. We're going to sink the hip to the earth, and maybe your hip is in line with the knee down to the ankle, and then a flexed foot here. If of course it's too much and you want to go a softer route, draw the elbows out, rest to the floor. Otherwise, perhaps staying on the forearms, connecting with that softening through the hips, that then helps to lift through the chest, gazing, shining forward. So though intense and mysterious, Scorpio energy is the energy of change and transformation. So it leads us through these cycles of death and rebirth, constantly renewing, almost like the cycle of a butterfly, where we have to draw inwards in order to flourish outwards. So perhaps this season that's something that you've been moving through. Some themes coming up that are looking at closing chapters, especially as we draw now towards winter, that closing down, drawing inwards energy. Maybe there's cycles ending, and just like the leaves falling from the trees, we're able to let something go. So perhaps closing your eyes and just feeling where you are in your life at this point. What is this season bringing up for you and calling you forward towards? So let's finish the right side, extending our left arm towards the top of the mat. It may even come off as we sink the left ear down. Bringing your right hand inwards, we're going to start to draw our right foot all the way back behind us. Maybe you're up on the tiptoes, maybe your foot is flat to the floor, and you should feel this lovely stretch kind of just at the very base of the glute, leading into the thigh. And it might feel nice to take a little rock side to side here, kind of exploring the stretch within your own body. And then let's roll back to center. Beautiful. From here, we're going to transition to the other side. So let's bring ourselves back for a moment, active child's pose, and then finding downward facing dog. Really nice. From here, we're going to inhale, lift the left leg, call the knee forward, knee to the wrist, foot comes across, we extend the leg back behind us, maybe checking it's to center. If you like, joining me in walking the hands either side, finding lift through the crown of the head, sinking down through the root chakra, and then leading from the chest as you lower. So different sides of the body will feel a little bit different. Maybe you're feeling a little bit more open this side. Maybe you're not, that's okay. Can you just witness what's going on in your body? Listening out for those little subtle signals and downloads. Energy, the universe trying to speak to us. And then taking your time to come up onto the hands firstly. Let's sweep the left leg underneath us, call it out to the side where we find our half frog to the left. So dropping the hip in line with the knee to the ankle, flexing the foot, your choice to come down to the floor. Or rest on the forearms in Sphinx, letting the heart shine forward. As you feel the hips softening to the floor, leaning into that depth and fullness of your breath. And then let's take a counter stretch from here. So extending the right arm, dropping the ear, and then softly rolling over that outstretched leg, exploring the stretch. Maybe on the tiptoes, maybe foot flat to the floor. What feels best this side? Maybe it's different from the other side. And then rolling away back to center. Beautiful. From here, bring your hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to start to sweep the legs round in front of us, ready to close down our practice. So taking this as a really passive stretch. So let's feel the heels of the feet pressing into the earth. A nice big bend into the knees. Inhale as you collect that energy around you. Exhale as you come all the way down to fold. Let your arms straight either sides of the legs. If you feel called to, you can, of course, hold the feet here. But take the pressure off now. So lean into the flow, the intuitive state. Though Scorpio is often misjudged, there's so much depth and wisdom there. Maybe even the kind of deepest sign and the wisest sign of the zodiac. I always like to see Scorpio as the alchemist, the ultimate healer, because to move through healing, to get to the other side of that, we have to experience pain and difficulty. And Scorpios are no stranger to that pain or difficulty, that's for sure. So take your time to come all the way up. Maybe even bring your hands under the thighs, bring your feet to the floor, and then making your way softly down to the mat. Maybe just like we did at the start, you want to extend the legs, extend the arms, exploring here, noticing that shift in energy, that transformation that you've created through your practice, just with a few minutes on the mat. And then slowly letting yourself come to find your full Shavasana position, where we'll complete our practice today. So allowing yourself to take up space, to soften into that wave of your supportive breath, giving all your energy back to the earth now. And leaning into your own state of inner flow. Whenever you feel called to, maybe bringing the hands onto the body, softly turning the head left to right, and gently making your way up towards seated. No rush to get there. So taking your time, meeting on our mats, maybe with your hands in prayer position, Anjali Mudra, offering thanks to your practice and most importantly, giving that thanks back to yourself for showing up today. Thank you so much for joining me for this Scorpio season flow. I look forward to seeing you for the next one. To make sure that you don't miss out, please make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and maybe even leave a comment for telling me about how you've been experiencing Scorpio season so far, or how that flow felt for you. It's fantastic to have you here, and you can find out more about me in the description below. But I hope you have a beautiful rest of the season ahead. Namaste.